Hi, I'm Linda. Welcome to Beautiful Thrift Homemaking, where we're reading through this year a vintage novel that's also a cookbook. It was published in 1917 and it's called A Thousand Ways to Please a Husband. I have a reprint from Dover Publications here that we're reading from. This storyline begins in the month of June as the newlyweds return from their honeymoon. And we are now, well, we're really far along now. We are in chapter 84. Oh, yes, chapters 84 and 85, and we're in the month of November now. So we're going to read 2 chapters and then we'll discuss the story and go over the recipes. Chapter 84, Uncle John, a guest at dinner. Well, well, in time for dinner, am I? Said Uncle John, letting in a gust of snow-filled air as he opened the front door. Why, Uncle John, I should say you are, answered Bettina with delight as she removed her kitchen apron. Do you smell my date buns? I believe you'll like them. Date buns? Never heard of anything so absurd in my whole life. What are they? And then, without waiting for an answer, he went on, A regular blizzard tonight, I do believe. I telephoned your Aunt Lucy that I wouldn't be back to the farm till morning. Then I found a place to leave my car and came up here to see if I couldn't get a bite to eat. But date buns? I don't know about that. I'm not used to anything so fancy. Well, Uncle John, there's a salmon loaf baking in the oven and also some lemon rice pudding, so I believe there'll be something you'll like. Maybe, said Uncle John doubtfully, but with a twinkle in his eye that belied his words. But let me see. Aunt Lucy sent you something. What was it? Oh, yes, some cream. And he took a glass jar from its wrappings. Oh, Uncle John, how lovely, said Bettina. Won't we just revel in cream? There comes Bob now. Get behind the door, Uncle John, and say boo the way you used to do with me when I was a little girl. That night for dinner, Bettina served salmon loaf, creamed potatoes, date buns, butter, cranberry sauce, lemon rice pudding, and coffee. And in this chapter, we have Bettina's recipes for salmon loaf, date buns, and lemon rice pudding. And now on to chapter 85 before we discuss the recipes from chapter 84. During the teachers' convention. So you'll not be back until dinner time, Bettina had said at the breakfast table to Bob's cousin Edna and her friend Catherine. A whole day of it? How tired you'll be. Edna laughed her ripply laugh that always made everyone else laugh too. Tired? Getting me a hat and a suit? Oh, Bettina, that makes me feel livelier than ever. Catherine looked troubled. Now, Edna, she said, you positively mustn't miss that afternoon meeting. I know it will be so inspiring. Remember what Professor Macy said? Edna laughed again. Catherine always quotes Professor Macy as if he were an oracle or a sphinx or something instead of a nice solemn young high school teacher who's getting a little bald. He isn't bald, and he isn't solemn, declared Catherine with some spirit. Forgive me, Catherine dear. He is a lamb and a darling and everything else you want me to say. I want you to say, why, Edna, aren't you ashamed? Said Catherine, growing very red. Who ever heard of such nonsense? I love to tease you, Catherine. It's so easy. So you won't help me get my hat? I want a beautiful purple one, or else a perky little black one. I haven't decided whether to be stately and gracious or frivolous and cunning. But I do know that I will not look as if I were about to cram the multiplication table into the head of some poor little innocent. Don't worry, Edna, said Bob. You won't look that way at all. In fact, I wonder that you can be serious long enough to impress the members of the school board when they come visiting. She doesn't try to impress them. She just smiles at them instead, and that does just as well, said Catherine. But she's not so utterly frivolous as her conversation sounds. She wants to hear the convention addresses just as much as I do, and I know she'll be there this afternoon. In fact, I intend to save a seat for her. Between you and Professor Macy? asked Edna innocently, or on his left? Shame on you, Edna, said Bettina. Now you girls tell me just what you'd like for dinner. Aren't there some special dishes you're hungry for? Pork tenderloin and sweet potatoes, said Edna. Our landlady never has them, and I often dream of the joy of ordering such delicacies. And so that evening for dinner, Bettina had pork tenderloin and sweet potatoes, baked apples, bread, butter, cottage pudding with chocolate sauce, and coffee. And we have Bettina's recipes for pork tenderloin and sweet potatoes, baked apples, Bettina's cottage pudding, and the chocolate sauce for it. And join me in a second and we will discuss these two chapters and the recipes. Thank you. Okay, let's discuss chapters 84 and 85. Uncle John, a guest at dinner. So Uncle John's a farmer and he's Bettina's uncle. He stopped in, and it's interesting that he found some place for his car to park first before he went to their house. So it just appeared that it appears that they do not have a garage with their house. And so he parked his car somewhere, and he had to stay the night because he said there's a blizzard. So in the previous chapter, Bettina was able to serve luncheon on the porch because it was such a fine day. And now we find that it's snowing. So November, a little unsteady, and the weather is changeable, I guess. So Uncle John is not sure about these date buns or anything with dates. He's probably unfamiliar with them. And he's teasing her about what she's going to serve for him, but he is hungry. And she does serve this salmon loaf. And that's similar to the salmon we had in the previous chapter. We had the scalloped salmon, which was served kind of in a white sauce. This one is a loaf. It's made this way: 1 cup of flaked salmon, 1/2 cup of fresh breadcrumbs, 2/3 cup milk, 1 egg yolk, 1/2 a teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon paprika, 1 teaspoon of melted butter, and 1 teaspoon of flour. Mix the salmon, breadcrumbs, milk, egg yolk, salt, and paprika. Pack down in a well-buttered pan. Pour 1 teaspoon of melted butter over the top. Dredge with flour. Bake 35 minutes in a moderate oven. Serve hot or cold. So that will be baked at probably 350, maybe 325. All right. And then the date buns are, this is a recipe for 12. 3 cups of flour, 1/2 a teaspoon of salt, 1 yeast cake, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/3 a tablespoon butter, 3/4 the cup milk, 1 egg, and 2/3 of a cup of dates. Mix and sift the flour and the salt. Add the dates, which have been pitted and cut into small pieces. Mix with sugar the yeast cake broken up. Heat the milk and add the butter. When the butter is melted, cool the milk mixture slightly and add it to the yeast mixture, stirring carefully until the yeast is dissolved. Yeah, you don't want to put hot things with the yeast or it will kill the yeast. So that's why you're going to cool the milk mixture a bit before you add it to the yeast. Add the egg well beaten to the milk mixture and add this to the flour. Mix thoroughly and toss onto a well-floured board. Knead 2 minutes. Place in a warm place and allow to rise 1 hour. Divide into 12 pieces by cutting with a knife. Allow to rise again 10 minutes. Brush the tops with 1 tablespoon of egg, to which has been added 1 tablespoon of milk. Bake 20 minutes in a hot oven. Right, so this is the first time that the dates are served in a way with a yeast bread. So we've had some quick breads with the dates before. Now here we have a very interesting, I think, recipe for a rice pudding that has lemon flavor. I have never heard of this one. 3 portions of lemon rice pudding are made thus: 2/3 a cup of cooked rice, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 cup milk, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 1/4 a cup sugar, 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. So you see separately, there's 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Beat the egg yolk, add the sugar, salt, and lemon juice. Add the milk and the rice. Cook 1 minute, stirring constantly to prevent scorching. Yeah, you have to remember that whenever you're heating milk on the stove top, it does scorch easily, so you need to keep the temperature a little bit low. Now pour into a well-buttered pudding dish. Beat the egg white very stiff. Add the powdered sugar and the lemon juice, the 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Pile this lightly on the top of the pudding. Bake 30 minutes in a slow oven. And that's going to be a slow oven versus a moderate oven. So that's going to be a lower temperature than our moderate 325, 350. All right, so that's chapter 84. And now we're going to talk about chapter 85. And I'm going to show you an old-fashioned catalog. Now to discuss chapter 85, during the teacher's convention, in which Bob's cousin Edna and her friend Catherine, or her teaching associate Catherine, are staying and eating with Bob and Bettina. Edna's going to go shopping while she's in the city. And I wanted to show you this fashion catalog from very close to the time of 1917. It was in September of 1909 that this came out. It's called Standard Fashions. And I'll show you the cover. And I'm going to show you 2 girls that are illustrated in this that are, I'm thinking, are like Edna and Catherine. So there they are. And I was going to say that when she said she wanted to have a suit, buy a suit and a hat, here we go. Here is a woman's suit. And you see how long the jacket of it is, the suit jacket. And then you see the hats of the day, at least in 1909. So that's pretty fun. This was a catalog to show you patterns that you could buy to sew these things. And it's just quite charming. All right. The patterns, by the way, cost standard patterns 10 and 15 cents, none higher. So that's pretty fun. And that came through the mail to a relative of my husband's back in the day. Or maybe at this point I should say ancestor. Okay, so we have the young ladies staying with them, and they decide they want to eat the pork tenderloins with sweet potatoes. So that is made with 1½ pounds of pork tenderloin, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 a teaspoon of pepper, and 4 large sweet potatoes. Now this sounds like a really nice Thanksgiving meal. I guess I'm hungry for Thanksgiving. It's coming up. Wipe the tenderloins, which have been prepared by cutting into small pieces by the butcher. Place in a small roaster and put in a hot oven. When brown on each side, season with salt and pepper. Pare the sweet potatoes and place in the pan with the meat. Baste every 10 minutes with 1/4 cup of water if there are not sufficient drippings to baste both the potatoes and meat. Cook until the potatoes are done, about 45 minutes. All right, and that is for 4 portions. Now we have also served baked apples, 4 portions, 4 Jonathan apples. Now that's still a variety we have available today. 8 tablespoons of sea sugar, which we know is brown sugar, light brown sugar. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 cup of water, and 1/2 a teaspoon of vanilla. Wash and core the apples. Fill each with 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Place in a small tin pan just large enough to hold them. Add the water and the rest of the sugar and bake 45 minutes in a moderate oven. Baste frequently with the syrup. After the apples have cooked 30 minutes, add the vanilla to the syrup. You know, that sounds really good to me, and that would be a nice alternative, wouldn't it, to a pie if somebody is not able to eat crust or foods with flour or grain in them, because then they could still get that kind of apple pie essence this way. I like that. This is not the first time we've had a baked apple dessert in this book. So far we have had another one. This one is Bettina's cottage pudding for 4 portions. 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 cup flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3 tablespoons chopped nuts, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 1 egg, 1/2 cup milk, and 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Mix the sugar, salt, flour, baking powder, and nuts. Add the egg and milk and mix well. Add the vanilla. Beat vigorously for 2 minutes and then add the melted butter. Pour into well-buttered gem pans, G-E-M, gem pans, filling each half full. Bake 15 minutes in a moderate oven. Serve with chocolate sauce, and the recipe for that follows. I wanted to talk about the gem pans just for a second. Now we know that these are kind of like individual muffin pans with a little bit of shape to them. Chocolate sauce for 4 portions, 1/2 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 cup of water, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 square of chocolate, 1/4 teaspoon vanilla. Mix thoroughly the sugar, flour, and salt. Add the water and the chocolate. Cook slowly until the chocolate is melted, about 2 minutes. Add the vanilla and serve hot. If too thick, add more water until the desired consistency is reached. So that it is spooned over the top of the cottage pudding. All right, so that was a nice menu, wasn't it? The pork tenderloin and sweet potatoes, the baked apples, bread with butter, the cottage pudding with chocolate sauce, and coffee. So I bet the young ladies really enjoyed that meal. They seem to be living in a room and board situation, because one of them mentioned her landlady, and she says, our landlady never has that dish, and so that's why she requested it. All right, so very fun. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time for the next 2 chapters. In the meantime, here it's coming on to Thanksgiving in the coming week. Actually, today's Sunday, so this week, as I'm recording on a Sunday afternoon, Thanksgiving's coming up on Thursday. And so I'll see you after that holiday for 3 more readings for the month of November. And I am going to be late with those, so I'll see you sometime at the beginning of December for those 3 chapters. Thank you for your patience, and have a great holiday, and enjoy the feasting with your friends and family. God bless you.